All right. Well, with all that, I don't want to delay us from the amazing content that we have today. I would like to introduce you to Amin Bajwani. He is my friend and the managing partner of Execute Strategy. And he too today will share his wisdom around work management. So Amin, hello, come say hi.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kat. And thanks for everyone for joining us today. Yes, definitely competing priorities today for everyone, and especially in the world of leading and managing people. These are definitely some trying times for all of us. So thanks for all of you out there who've joined us, and thanks for all your support for this event. We are a complete house full event, over 250 attendees coming through. So thank you so much for your confidence and your support for this event. So getting started, I'm going to spend maybe literally 2 minutes going through and sharing with you what Execute Strategy does and what we're all about. And we're going to go right into my fireside chat with Sharon Ramalho. So let's get started. Execute Strategy is a Monday.com partner, and we provide solutions across various industries, specifically within HR, manufacturing, construction, technology, and healthcare, and others, as you can see on the screen. We have a bilingual team. We provide services across North America and actually also across the pond in France. As a matter of fact, we actually have a client right now as a small island off of the coast of Australia that is completely French, and we're working with them on an implementation. We provide 4 key service areas. We provide full end-to-end sales and procurement for your Monday.com licenses. We have pre-built solutions to kickstart your implementation that accelerates you and your onboarding on the product. Provide full implementation, training, customization, and also integration with various third-party applications. So why Execute? The Execute difference. We always put people and process before tools. We have a strong belief that if you cannot have a process done up on paper and managed manually, there's no reason to put a tool at the end of that equation. So we always work with your teams to design that process and the people interactions with that tool before implementing Monday.com. We have strong expertise in industry with past implementations, so we understand your business and your pain points. And we have over 10 certified consultants to work with your team. We integrate with various products. Some of them are listed below with Monday.com, but there are hundreds others that we just couldn't accommodate the logos for on this slide. We have a 5% commitment to our community and some of the causes that we support. We provide 5% of our profits in time, knowledge, and funds to local charities, do team events. And we have an announcement to make on this occasion, on today's event. We feel that all boats rise with the tide, and in honor of our speaker and her alma mater, we are going to be making a donation on behalf of all of you, the attendees, and our speaker, Sharon, to Ronald McDonald House Charities. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, turn my video on, and do the thing, and then get started with our fireside chat with Sharon. So give me a minute while I do that. In the meantime, there is a poll that's coming up, and if you can please respond to that poll. This is very relevant to what's happening in our world today. And would love for you guys to give us your thoughts. We'll be sharing the results of the poll with all the attendees as well. So we'll love your thoughts on those as well. Okay, we'll give you guys a minute there to respond to that poll as we get set up for my chat with Sharon. So Sharon, you know, you and I have a, hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good.
Doing
Thank
well,
you.
Amin?
Absolutely. And you?
Yes. Yes. The sun is shining.
For sure. For sure. And, you know, thank you, first of all, for doing this. We truly appreciate this. And I know when we connected to discuss this, we were discussing in terms of what's the best approach to do this. And, you know, you came up with this idea of doing a fireside chat. And I think this is brilliant because the attendees get a full unabridged version of Sharon in terms of what's happening. We can ask live questions. I've got a couple of questions for us to get started, but from audience perspective, attendees, please throw in questions. We will be taking live questions as well during this session, but also addressing other questions at the end of the session as well. So we'll get started with our conversation with Sharon, and we would love for your active participation by responding to those polls and adding more questions. So Sharon, our connection goes back to also my McDonald's days, when I first met you, and I've seen kind of your star ascend, within McDonald's and globally and locally, with various roles in people and leadership management, and of course with that culminating with the role of the people officer for McDonald's Canada. And I'm sure with your past experience and being in industry, you've talked to so many industry leaders, and specifically during these times, given now your work with your own consulting practice, 6 Words Consulting, what are you hearing in terms of the top, 3 to 5 top biggest challenges that HR leaders are facing in engaging their workforce today?
Yeah, thanks, Amin, and certainly a pleasure to participate in what you're doing to really, I think, together with Monday.com, provide some leadership in the modernization and the automation of this very important function. First off, to the attendees, I think Kat said it up front. Just the work that you have all been doing, probably these past 11 or 12 months now, and will continue to do this year, has, simply been phenomenal. This significant degree of care and concern and empathy that we're seeing in workplaces today. Certainly my heart goes out to all the work that you and your teams are doing. And I will say it up front, I do hope that you're all taking care of yourselves first and foremost, because a healthy and happy HR leader, HR manager, and in any function as it relates to people and people resources certainly goes a long way in ensuring that your teams as well as your families are all safe and healthy. And I think just to start kicking off your question, Amin, is it really starts there. And the way I would frame, I think, what the challenges are today for HR leaders, it really starts with the today. And the challenge that HR leaders are faced with today, it absolutely has to do with health, safety, and wellness of employees. And really ensuring that employees have the means and the mechanisms to help cope with the stresses that have come with the various degrees of life challenges. And I'm not even going to go there, but we all know that everyone's, what's that saying we've heard a lot? We're all going through this storm together, but we're not all necessarily in the same boat. And people are dealing with this in different ways: the family dynamic, the work dynamic. If they're an essential worker or an office employee that's now working from home, the onus is on the business to really ensure that people are safe and are well. I think some challenges that go with that in itself, has to do with, are we training our managers of people, our different leaders of people, in the right way to help to follow up and to help check in on employees? I saw some research recently where, and this was put out by McKinsey, 70% of business leaders are asking their managers to check in on the well-being of their employees, of their team members. But team members are saying, well, only 30% are saying that it's actually happening. So I think there's an opportunity there to just to help our managers of people better understand the how to do it. So we want them to check in on people. We want to provide the necessary tools. And to some degree, we actually need to train them and help them feel comfortable in doing it. I heard yesterday, actually, on the radio, that antidepressants here in Canada has increased actually 20%. So more people are being prescribed antidepressants, 20% more over the course of the year. And those are people that are being prescribed medication. So you can only imagine that the stress levels are that much higher. So the work that HR needs to continue to do to ensure that we're providing that safe environment, even whilst people are working from home, I think is super critical. So that's today. This first challenge is about health and wellness. As we think about tomorrow, I think what we're going to start to see is where the business wants to start to accelerate initiatives. Perhaps there's initiatives that have been put on hold. Even HR, as an example, might have initiatives that you put on hold because you've been dealing with, crisis in a different way. I think what will be important for the HR leaders, for the HR function, will be that we're bringing the employees along on this journey as the business then, in the, call it not necessarily the post-pandemic era, but as the pandemic is starting to slow and businesses are reopening as lockdown is fading, the businesses will want to accelerate, and absolutely, it's in many cases the right way to go. But it'll be very, very important that we bring employees along on the journey, and we do that through communication. Communication becomes even more important, that employees understand what the plans are of the businesses, what's changing, how the businesses will continue to keep them safe, even whilst the businesses might want to reopen offices and perhaps create a bit of a hybrid working solution. So communication, I think, is so important in the what we call the tomorrow, the getting back to work, the reset of the business. And then I think the third challenge I'm in will be maybe what we call the after tomorrow. And we're hearing a lot about the future of work and what that's going to look like. And I do hope that we all take in each of our different businesses, we take a lot of the learnings regarding what has actually worked well. You go back maybe 24 months ago, we probably would not have imagined that we could do these types of communication sessions, that we could actually be productive working from home. We don't need to drive perhaps an hour to get to an office environment. So the future of work and how that evolves, I think the pandemic has given us a bit of a starting point as to how we can use technology, how we can communicate through different means of chat apps or video apps, or online versus offline. So I think those types of things will be important for the future as HR leaders define what the future is. I'd say some other quick things too that will be super important will be thinking about diversity and this commitment that we all need to have to ensure that we are representing our communities through our leadership, through how we hire and engage with our employees. And then we've got to think about how the generation also is evolving. We now have Gen Z or Gen Z for any of our American friends. We've got millennials and Gen Zs now making up the vast majority of the workforce. So as we plan out the future of work, we absolutely have to keep in mind how those employees like to work, because as boomers and Gen X's start to retire, that whole shift in the work dynamic will certainly be become real. So I'd say that's maybe the start. HR, there's going to be no shortage whatsoever of challenges that HR is facing. We've got the today to worry about, we've got the tomorrow and the reset of work, but then a lot of effort's got to go into what that future looks like, and how automation. And I think that's where, that's the wheelhouse that you and Monday.com are playing in, but how automation can make the lives of the HR function, which is, I think, notorious for, paperwork and some of these tasks that are absolutely critical, but it just takes time. Can we automate so that our HR folks can really focus on the human element, the people element, and help our people along on this journey that we're on?
Yeah, amazing. So thanks, Sharon. I think we've got kind of some of the key topics kind of coming out of this, right? Like the hybrid workspace and the future of the workspace itself. the safety of the employees within that workspace, and then thinking about the future of work and automation is that how do individuals within that workspace or outside of that workspace interact with each other, using tools like Monday.com, using the automation capabilities, and then the idea of, as you mentioned, the future of work, which is, as I think we can probably all know, the future of work is now. COVID-19 just accelerated all of that for us. It is happening now, and we're living in it. How do we actually upskill ourselves to get to that next level? Because there's the future of jobs report that came out from the World Economic Forum in October. And by the way, guys, we've got a whole bunch of these articles and these goodies in a goodie bag that we're giving away at the end of the session. So stick around till the end. We're going to give a link out for that. And we've collected a bunch of this materials. Even last week, World Economic Forum came out with 3 articles because Davos digital. The Davos Forum is now digital. The Economic Forum is going live. So they came out a bunch of articles there as well. So I think the idea is that how do you essentially upskill as an individual, based on the future of jobs report. A lot of opportunities will arise from it, but a lot of menial jobs will actually see a decline. So how do you essentially elevate yourself? And I think using tools like Monday.com, individuals, HR practitioners can actually think about what are the things that are mundane menial tasks that I can actually set and forget and let it repeat itself, so I can then elevate my role to a more of an analytical, use more human skills, if you will, right? So talking about we'll take one theme at a time and kind of break this down for our audience today. Talking about the workspace itself, right? The flexibility within the workplace, and this seems to be a very important aspect for all employees, right? Going forward, what are some of the trends that you're seeing in this space, and how can HR as a key stakeholder, but at the same time a linchpin, I would say, support businesses and employees within this future of workplace?
Yeah, we've heard that term, flexibility, and I think when the poll came up, I think a lot of the early respondents actually had to dealt with those questions around flexibility of work. So no doubt, and there's a lot of really good research out there right now. So that's great that you're going to be sending on to the participants on. And so I think what I'm seeing and hearing a lot, the way companies are likely going is this hybrid solution. First off, notorious organizations and tech companies and departments like perhaps IT and more project management type of organizations and companies, have been working remotely for a long time, and have been quite successful at doing so. Will the office actually go away? I'm not sure. I don't have the crystal ball in front of me. I'm not sure an office, Apple as an example, just spent millions and millions of dollars building out their 13,000 person facility in Cupertino. I don't think they're about to shut it down. But this hybrid approach to work, which is we've proven that we can actually get work done outside of an office. And I don't necessarily mean sitting at home. Maybe there's another place that work takes place. So I'll call it, this remote work. And I think the hybrid solution of what I'm hearing is that, it could be something like a 2-3-2 concept, which there's a couple of days that employees are working remotely, maybe 3 days in an office, or vice versa, and then a couple days off. I think for me the key message, and I'll always come at it from a people perspective, I think the key point for businesses and the HR leaders will be understanding the needs of each and every one of your team members. There's going to be team members that absolutely, COVID did not impact. They feel that, they're ready to get back into an office. They feel safe, they feel secure, let's go. There's going to be at the far end of that spectrum, people that have suffered, either personally with family situations, or the kids are being homeschooled, and someone needs to be there for kids or for family members, or they're absolutely afraid to go back into an office. So I think this whole notion of work flexibility, I think, is here to stay. And as you said, COVID has just accelerated this future that we might have been reading about or thinking about. So I think it's critical for, as I talked about earlier, as businesses build out their, okay, what's the tomorrow and after tomorrow plan? flexibility absolutely has to play a role, and understanding the needs of your people, the needs of the business, and really putting those solutions together that can work. And I'll always say, the best way to get at a problem that you're trying to solve is talk to the people. Let your employees be part of those solutions so that they can see that their voices are being heard. If an organization, the worst thing they can do is, go all in and say, okay, everyone back into the office. You run a huge risk of losing people. You run a huge risk of losing people, really good talent, because they can go elsewhere to an organization that's offering that type of flexibility that they might be looking for. So I think you've got to keep the conversation open. You've got to communicate to employees to help them understand, what's being changed in the office, how we're going to be safe in this environment, and how we're going to take the learnings from what we've just been through to help us be, more productive and more effective, perhaps in the different roles that we have.
So there's some questions coming out from the audience. I think we can take one of those. That there's this discussion about the digitization and automation of the workspace, right? It's kind of, we talked about the trends, we talked about the workspace. Now we're taking that to our next, focus or topic further. Questions coming out in terms of, what are, some of the HR systems that need to be involved, that need to be automated, right? Because HR is usually one of the ones not as a trendsetter when it comes to technology, not as a trendsetter for automation. But I think going forward, HR needs to play that different role to lead that, because HR is all about people, and technology and automation and systems are all interacting with HR. And I'm just gonna kind of add, the jobs report actually quoted on this. It talked about, and I'm going to quote them. It says 84% of employers are set to rapidly digitize working processes, including a significant expansion of remote work. We talked about that, and with the potential to move 44% of their workforce to operate remotely. So now we're talking about, as the work is going hybrid and there's a different structure in terms of the workspace, how do now HR takes that leadership role in digitizing some of its own processes and automating that?
Yeah, I think thank you for putting in that question from the audience. Definitely, in my experience with HR, both certainly within my McDonald's career and post in my retirement / consulting stage of my life, in speaking with different leaders and HR leaders, the people function, it's unfortunately one that has been, let's say, put to the side in terms of modernizing. When you think about a modernized, automated, tech-heavy, tech-driven functions, you think of the digital functions, you think of perhaps marketing, you think of IT, of course, perhaps finance, of the tools that have been developed. But for my HR peers out there, let's imagine the day that you look at your talent management system, or you look at talent acquisition, total rewards and how we have benefits, and having more information to help us make our decisions, I think is extremely critical on the go forward. So to be able to automate, and let's use the example of marketing. Marketing has more information about the customers. You think about Facebook. Facebook knows more about me than probably my employer knew about me. Not that we want to become the Facebook and have the HR function become like a Facebook, but we need to have more, and we need to know more information. Having information about our talent, and you think about talent management as a great idea of we're doing succession planning. Well, how about if we had that automated, where we could have information about the career history, not just the history within a company, but career history, the education that people have had, so that when we're filling potentially a future role, well, automatically we've got the candidates based upon the screens that we've been able to filter through, versus maybe the way that we do things today. So I think HR and its vendors have a huge opportunity in front to really bring forward information, data, analytics, a bit of AI thrown into the mix, and really bring HR up to, I think the level that it can be and really be effective then ultimately for the business. You know, it's all got to be certainly business case driven, but I definitely see that that there's that potential. But I think every HR system, from total rewards and benefits, performance management, another great example of the archaic way perhaps that we've done historically, the annual review system, you know, the annual performance reviews. We just need to modernize that and evolve that into, you know, a great example of, you know, regular check-ins, regular touch points, 360 feedback, upward feedback as well, giving feedback to your boss and leader, and finding the right way and the right tools to be able to do that. So it doesn't become that mundane annual task that managers have to do, that it becomes, you know, certainly a more modernized and effective way of giving feedback. But I think every system needs to be the rocks turned over, and then it's a prioritization for each of the businesses and companies based upon, you know, what their needs are.
Okay, fantastic. We'll take two more questions given our time. One is kind of really related to, you know, we talked about the workplace, we talked about tools and technology, we talked about the trends. I think there's another pressing question, is the upskilling and reskilling component of people, right? You know, so, you know, because of, you know, COVID-19, of course, innovation is accelerated. You know, there's been talk about robots taking over our jobs and things like that. But of course, you know, how computers are not going to be sitting next to you in a cubicle. We know that. But I think the idea is that how do we start to kind of coexist with technology as human beings, right? So, so to what extent is it true that, you know, that jobs are going away, and if they are, you know, what should we as work practitioners do to prepare for it? You know, upskill ourselves, and how do we start to think about this idea of, you know, lifelong learning, if you will, as well?
That's a good one. You know, I was doing actually some preparation. It just something popped in my brain. I'm doing a workshop for a client in a couple of weeks, and you know, one of the things I'm talking about is employment, and you know, how challenging it will continue to be to recruit great talent and to retain great talent. 20 years ago, in year 2000, maybe late 90s, the unemployment rate was in that 6 to 8% range. 2019, I might misquote by a percentage point or so, but unemployment in Canada was 5.9% in 2019. Forget this year. 2021, or forget last year rather, 2021, unemployment, they project to close at 6.7%. So we're still in that range as we were the last 20 years of in that space of 6 to 8%. And it could actually, you know, lower even more as 2022, 23 comes on board. A lot though has changed, hasn't it, in the last 20 years? So we've evolved, you know, we've lost industries. You think about, you know, the travel industry, where previously you'd go to a travel agent and book a trip, or you'd go into a bank for everything you needed to do and speak to tellers. Well, those jobs have been repositioned to perhaps customer service representatives or, you know, online support means. So I think the whole notion of robotics replacing jobs, no doubt there is truth to that. You know, the automotive industry is a great example of how robots have come in and certainly done some of the work, but then the people learn new skills. And, you know, you look at, you know, just what possibly we could do over the next 20 years with the environment, and creating new industries. You know, automotive as an example, more electronic cars will be built. Well, those skills will need to be retaught to some of those engineers that only know how to build a car one certain way. So I think the whole notion of robotics, I think, is real, and I think it's important for whichever industry our HR friends are on the line or are in. You've got to look at what that then means for the different jobs over the next 5 to 10 years, and what skills will be required, and absolutely how to reskill and you know, teach people what needs to be done. You know, and you know, another great example I'm in would be just how people learn today. You know, who would have thought that, you know, you can get an MBA, you can take courses online without even going into a classroom. So people can, learn new skills, certainly in this new modern way of learning as well.
Okay, awesome. So last question is actually coming from the audience. They want to know what Sharon's been up to. Like, what's next for Sharon? Your 6 words consulting practice. Tell us more about that.
Thank you. Well, 6 words. I've been doing a combination of things. Certainly my own personal goals. I continue to work on, and certainly 2020 has slowed down a few things for me, but like it has for many people. I'm a big travel bug. I accomplished the 7th continent in November of 2019, which I'm grateful for having that opportunity before COVID hit to get to Antarctica. But besides that, with 6 words consulting, I enjoy getting out and telling the story, helping others thrive, helping others, perhaps see, and I'm sure you're doing it as well, really see through some of the muck that people live in the world of just attempting to work on their goals and getting things done. But yeah, no, I support, small, mid-size business leaders to help build business plans, and certainly people always ends up at the top of those plans for all the right reasons. And I really enjoy, doing things like this, webinars and workshops, as virtual as it is. I look forward to the day to be able to get to the live sessions as well, and just interact more with people. I look forward to that. But yeah, that's it. That's 6 words consulting. I've got a website people can look up, and I get asked often, what are the 6 words? Why is it 6 words consulting? You can't do it without people. You can't do it without people. Business leaders, if you're on this line, you can't achieve your business goals without people. Healthy, happy people that are thriving in your organization, you need them. And we all know organizations with high employee engagement are always more successful. You can't do it without people.
Awesome. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you so much for your time. We're gonna move now into the demo, but Sharon's is gonna hang around. We've got time for Q&A in the end, so please have those questions coming in. So again, thanks, Sharon, for your time. I'm gonna start to switch screen here. So while that's happening, our team is putting up another poll. Would love for your thoughts on this next poll coming up while I set up for the demo. Okay, we'll get started. So what we've done at Execute Strategy is that we've developed a all-in-one solution that includes modules and applications for you to run and manage your entire HR organization. This includes modules that relate to the journey of a prospect to an employee, their talent management, health and well-being. These applications also provide the ability to track ongoing work of HR and also project-based work. In the world of HR, there are several business needs, as we all know, and most organizations implement usually a very unique solution to solve that particular need. Our Monday.com solution, though, is an all-encompassing, all-in-one solution, eliminating the need for you to purchase, manage, and maintain multiple applications. So in our demo today, what you will see is how leaders and team members use Monday.com to manage, plan, report, and automate their work. First, what we'll see is how dashboard empowers teams to focus on work that matters. And next, we will see an end-to-end workflow of one of the applications that we've built out of all of these applications, which is the application taking system. This will demonstrate the power of Monday, our super duper integration with Indeed, which is a job taking engine. And you'll see that how data is received from multiple sources, using workflow to manage actions and approvals and reporting to inform, track, and then drive decisions. So let's get started. Moving to my Monday.com screens. This is the dashboard for a executive lead at an organization. See, Monday.com empowers teams at all levels using real-time data to access information so that they can do their best work. dashboards in Mondays are actually really not just a means of reporting, but they're actually truly portals through which everyone can stay focused on work that matters most to them. The dashboards and portals provide actionable insights. This is the view of a dashboard of an HR leader. We have dubbed our dashboards home base, which relates to the idea of one central place for everything I as a leader need as it relates to HR. For an HR leader, this really means a single source of truth. As an HR leader, you have so many responsibilities, right? Of course, and bringing everything together in one central place provides you with that information so that you can make timely decisions. The dashboard is completely configurable, and each element here is essentially a widget with its own unique characteristics. Here you will see we've personalized the dashboard with the picture and the title, and there's a highlight section, which provides an executive summary here on the top right-hand corner, giving a focused view to the leader and what matters to them most. Our team understands that, in the world of HR, you have two types of work. Work that is infinite, i.e. ongoing, such as recruitment, talent development, compliance, etc. We also call this type of work operational work. The second type of work is called finite, which is project-based work that is required to move the business forward. So we have divided this dashboard and are in all of our solutions in these two segments. So for ongoing work, you will see here that we have provided organizational view, such as headcount, results of the engagement survey, turnover, and open positions. That provides a bird's eye view of the current state of the union. There are other project-related components here on this dashboard, such as the HR projects, provides a high-level view of what's happening in the projects and the project budget. You are easily and simply able to drill down into the data of each of these elements. So for example, if I want to see where does my score of 31 come from across my organization of pay and benefits, if you will, I simply click on that and drill down onto that data, and it gives me a breakdown of the average scores of each of my departments. And if I want, I can build further drill down connections to see what the marketing data looks like and where did that number come from, and also go down at the leader level to see each of the leaders' scores, for example. I'm going to now pivot and go into showing a full end-to-end workflow of how a prospect employee applying to a job and their experience of what they see, and then we'll see the recruiter end of that same workflow. So let's pretend that I'm a candidate and I'm interested in a role at Execute Strategy, and I find a posting on Indeed, and I decide to apply. This is a live posting, and I can read the description as I would. And then normally for a job posting site, they would accept you or allow you to actually complete an application on their portal, or they may allow you to actually reroute the candidate to your website. In this case, we've actually integrated a Monday.com form to Indeed. So what this does is allows you to take all your applications in Monday, thus allowing you to manage that workflow end to end. So here I will click on the apply button. When I click on the apply button, as you can see, a Monday.com form comes on. And I complete the form, and what I have done here is I've completed one already for us in the interest of time with my name and email. And of course, this form is completely configurable with required fields and others that you may want to collect. However, what we're doing is that we are in the back end tagging various components. So when you will see the form come in the recruiter view, some of the fields will automatically be populated, such as this is an application for a technical project manager that I'm applying for. There could be tagging for other roles as well, and similarly. So in this case, I'm going to submit my application. When I submit my application, you can see that I get a nice thank you message, and I get a contact information, and I'm routed to my company site. And this allows you to route to any page. You can route them to careers page, gives a good candidate experience overall. Once I submit my application, I'm actually sent an email, automatic email from Monday.com, configured by one of our team members here. And it says, "Dear Amin, thank you for your position for technical project manager. We've received," and this message is very configurable, and all of these elements are auto-populated. So you don't have to type the word Amin. It actually pulls that from the appropriate fields when the applicant submits their application. Now, let's look at the experience at the recruiter end. As a recruiter, I have all my new applications that have come in. I can get applications through Indeed, through other channels, and I have my sources here that are populated. This is a Monday.com board for those who are new to Monday. Information is structured in a board format in Monday. I can also receive applications via email. Each board has its own unique email address, and you can receive applications in as well, thus allowing you to use multiple sources of data collection, but still bringing everything into one central source. As a recruiter, I have now received this application. I have a few things that I can do. As you can see, my source is automatically coded, so I know that the application has come through Indeed. My position is automatically coded as well. Based on the job, I have assigned the hiring manager already, and the recruiter has also been assigned. All of these items can automatically be assigned rather than having somebody to make that decision and think about those. Again, these are the set and forget type automations, which can be set automatically in Monday. I can also see my resume that I put in. I can click on the resume. I can review as a recruiter and see, what Amin is all about. He's applied for this job, and look at the background. And I can actually start a conversation with somebody else in the team to provide response, or maybe I want to talk to the hiring manager, if you will, and I can provide ad mentions, if you will, in that conversation. So providing a full end-to-end experience in one place to be able to manage the application. So now in this case, I've looked at the application for Amin. I have some comments I want to put in, so I'll put my comments here about this application, and I'm going to say, you know what, I like the application, but maybe for future. But I still want the hiring manager to confirm that for me. So I can actually make an ad mention to the hiring manager and call them out here for them to come and review the application, or I can actually assign the application to the hiring manager. Once the way to assign the hiring manager application, I can basically shortlist the candidate in the status. So I'm right here in the status column. I'm going to shortlist the candidate. And once I shortlist the candidate, the hiring manager gets the notification that this candidate is now shortlisted for them to review. The hiring manager can have their own specific views as a dashboard that I showed you earlier, or they can have their own specific board view as well. When the hiring manager gets a notification, they're then invited to come and review the application. They will go through a similar process, provide their comments and notes. Hiring manager then have the ability to either disqualify the candidate, set them for future, or set them up for ready for interview. In this case, I'm going to set them for ready for interview. As a recruiter, I also have the ability to disqualify the candidate and put them for future potential. So for example, this particular candidate in our list, I'm going to set them up as disqualified, not qualified. And as you can see, the moment I move them to not qualified, it goes into its own section as the subboard. And this way, it allows me to structure my information and my data in a organized manner so that I can only focus on items that matter to me, items that are set to status for either new or ready for interview, or that are shortlisted. As a manager of the recruiting team, I can actually have my own dashboard view where I can see the application status of all my job openings. I can see them by status, I can see by role, and I can actually interact with these charts and graphs. I can also have a table view to see what the statuses are for my application and items that are assigned to various recruiters, and see the recruiter performance as well. Now, I have now been hired, and that's great news with Execute Strategy. And I think my sharing stopped. I will reshare momentarily. Sorry about that, wrong button. Start sharing again. So I've now been rehired, and I've had a great experience with Execute Strategy because I get notifications for every status that changes on my application. I've been informed throughout the process. When I join, before my first day, I get a great email welcoming me and inviting me to my Monday.com space with this company. So now I have my own portal where I can access, where I can find out information that's relevant to me on my first day. I have things like quick links where I can actually access, make a vacation request. Maybe I won't do that on my first day, but I can do my talent assessment. I have an HR policy guide I can access. So a lot of quick links that can be helpful. Other things like, hey, there's a town hall coming up, in 8 days. Great. There's a countdown here. Reminds me right on top, right? Oh, the company's all about, doing the right thing and supporting the local food drive. We have a goal here. We're trying to achieve the goal. Great. So some great information that can be provided from HR to the team member. Another cool feature we have here is a very interactive org chart where I can actually see my team members that report to me. Right? So, okay, I'm in a manager role. I've got Jane Doe reporting to me in this case, and the org chart can be structured in various ways. A goals board, I can put my goals in and interact with my with my goal board and start to do my goal planning, if you will. And an onboarding checklist, which is also very interactive, and I can complete the tasks, see my completed tasks and the available tasks. Okay, so with this, this actually concludes the demo portion of it. So in conclusion, our HR solution using Monday.com is a one-stop shop for HR teams. The dashboard provides actionable insight to team members at all levels of the organization to focus and do their best work. And each app, as you saw, as an example with the ATS app, provides an end-to-end workflow that includes automation, integration, and reporting. So with that, I'm going to actually start to transition to Farouk from our team, who's going to manage the Q&A. We've got about 10 minutes remaining, so we have lots of time for questions. We have lots of questions coming in. Farouk is going to actually tee up a question here in a bit. But before we do that, for those who may not want to stay for the Q&A session, we actually wanted to share with you our offers. So a couple of things. We have a pro package, which includes Monday.com licenses and this entire HR solution package that we have built along with some time of our team. We have an enterprise package that includes 10 enterprise licenses for Monday.com, and we'll be more than happy to share with you the differences between those two. And for those who are already Monday.com customers, we have a services package that you can avail. There's a QR code on the screen. You can feel free to snap that and avail the offers. There is a survey link that's coming out as well. If you complete that survey, at the end of that survey, you'll be rerouted to our goodies page where you get access to all the articles and materials that we talked about today, and also these offers. I'm going to keep this offer on the screen while Farouk comes up. And Farouk, I will let you start the Q&A and take questions from the audience. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Amin and Sharon. It's a great questions answered today. We do have a few questions. I'm just cautious of the time, and given what we have left, we'd like to go through some of the key questions here asked by our audience. One of the interesting questions we got here is creating a psychological safe environment is important as it plays a role in health and wellness and what it means to the future of our work. How can we include this in our HR retention strategy? You want to take this one, Sharon?
Yeah, can you just repeat the first part? Because there was a bit of a delay.
Sure. It says, creating a psychological safe environment is important as it plays a role in health and wellness and what it means to the future of our work. How can we include this in our HR retention strategy?
Yes. We're going to see more and more, I believe, the need to shift perhaps some of our benefits that we offer. And what I mean is, when we think about the health and wellness, I don't think this is going to be going away after the next 6 months. This is here to stay. I think business leaders, specifically CEOs, specifically, have recognized. There was a KPMG research that came out, and CEOs recognize that their number one risk to long-term growth is talent and people. So CEOs have recognized that this is critical, that we have a safe and healthy workforce. So I think the first thing that probably, or one of the things, of many things certainly, that needs to get done is to really reassess the benefits that we currently offer. And, you know, as the business is changing, as things are evolving, you know, you may have had benefits like, you know, maybe a gas allowance or travel budgets, things like that. You know, maybe you were paying for certain benefits for people that, you know, either is no longer needed or is not as important. So I think, you know, maybe assessing the current benefits that you offer, and identifying also together with your employees what's important to them. So, you know, I do think it needs to be reviewed. And I do think just in general, health and wellness, you know, I talked about earlier also educating managers on what to look out for in people. You know, someone that is feeling burned out or just really overloaded or not motivated, you know, we tend to, you know, kind of pigeonhole those types of people because we don't really understand what they're going through. So just really how better educating managers in what to look for in those employees that might be dealing with, you know, things in their own way. I think that would be a start. You know, there's certainly lots that would need to be done, but I think just recognizing that this is here to stay, and the onus is on companies and organizations to create and to have that safe place for people to as they work.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for the great answer, Sharon. I think with this answer, you actually touched on another two questions that were actually posted. We do have one other question, given the time that we have left. HR seems to be one of the latest, one of the last teams when you think of innovation, technology, and automation. How can HR take a lead role in organizations by implementing tools that help plan, manage, report, and automate work?
Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting? Just yesterday afternoon, I had a great call with the CEO of a company, and I actually asked him, because we were talking about, you know, we're in the discussion around when's the right time for a startup company to create the function, the HR function. And, you know, just the whole notion of HR being probably one of the last departments, one of the last business units to take a hold of this modernization effort. I actually asked him his opinion, and here's what he said. He said it's because, so why is HR probably at the last end of departments that you create or departments that you invest in from that standpoint? And he said it doesn't generate revenue, doesn't generate, you don't see it firsthand. And, you know, I'd respond to that, you know, and I think you've got to get to HR leaders, you've got to get the business case, you've got to help CEOs and the CFO better understand why it's super critical to invest into these types of tools. Because the risk of having disengaged or dissatisfied employees creates, as we know, what we call turnover. And there's this cost of turnover within businesses that it's not seen. You don't see on a P&L, well, what is the cost of turnover? But if you calculate, and I know HR leaders certainly are in tune to that, you can calculate what the cost is of turnover. And for an organization, make up a number, it could be worth, you know, $1 million, $100,000, $500,000 of turnover. We'll take some of that money and let's invest it into the tools that can help HR leaders get and acquire data, understand the analytics, you know, take away from, as we've talked about, some of those mundane tasks, and then use the time that the HR people have, that the people resources function has, to invest into then understanding how our people are engaged in the workplace. You know, 27%, this was a research that came out, I think it was 2018, 2019 time period, 27% of people are satisfied with their job. This was, I think, North American data, 27%.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if a company had a 20%, 27% rating from their customers, or you had Google reviews worth 2.7 out of 5? Your business would be probably at the tail end of going out of business. So if we were to take that same methodology and put some of that into the people function, I think we'd see, imagine if people were 70% satisfied with their work, how much better companies would be. So I think there's a business case that needs to be had, no doubt about it, to show here's the investment, but here's the reward also for not just our people, but also the business.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the answer there, and really appreciate the detailed answer. By the way, for our audience, there's a message coming through now with a link to Execute Strategies Monday.com user group on LinkedIn. You're very welcome to join this group to connect with Execute Strategies Monday.com community and stay aware of the latest updates there. We also have the quick survey, as mentioned by Amin, and we do encourage each one of you to fill it out, as we are excited to know what you think about the webinar today. Both the links to the user group as well as the link to the survey are posted in the Q&A panel for ease of access. And we did notice a lot of questions that came into our way. Unfortunately, we're not able to respond to each question, but we will do our best to have a follow-up with each one of you to respond to your questions in detail. Thank you very much for all the questions that you have asked today.
Yeah. Farouk, I think, sorry to interrupt, I think if there are folks who don't have a meeting to rush to, we are okay to stay for another 5 or 10 minutes and continue our conversation if it's okay with Sharon and Kat, and maybe answer 1 or 2 other questions.
Yeah, for sure. We do have 2 other interesting questions, if you don't mind. So one was related to the tool, actually, that was presented today, and how is the integration with Indeed. We'll come to that in details, but I think, those questions are going to be addressed to you now. There is one that says, I would love to learn how to integrate Indeed to the Monday.com, and also see what kind of capability does the Monday.com board provide with respect to assisting HR business partners in their work.
Yeah, so the Indeed or integration to any job board is not as a complex, but it does require some skill set that we need to essentially have in-house that we can work with you on. So for anybody who's interested in doing that, and taking away the application process from your website or wherever you're collecting the resumes and bring it to Monday for managing your entire workflow, we'll be more than happy to contact you. Or if you go to our website, executestrategy.ca, we can put a link there. There is a contact button. You click on that, and this is a quick contact form you can flip out. If you are interested for us to contact you, you can even put a message up on the Q&A board now, and then we will know who you are, and we'll be more than happy to reach out to you right after and set up some time to kind of show you how we can make that happen for you. The second question was related to the dashboards. Yeah, so the dashboards are run are right from Monday. They are configurable dashboards. The package that we are providing to you comes with the entire template set, and all you have to do is basically duplicate, rename, and save. Essentially rinse and repeat, and then essentially set those up for each of your team members, and everyone across the organization has however your organization ladders up. You can set and structure those up as well. As part of our package, if you are a new Monday customer, we are providing some consulting services. That's part of the package as well. You can avail that, and we can help customize or adjust the solution for you. In addition, if you are already a Monday customer, you feel free to avail the services component of it, where there's about 20 hours of our team's time that comes with the package that allows you not to just use this for this solution, but for any of your other Monday.com implementation, if you will.
Thank you for the great answer there, Amin. Appreciate it. And I'm gonna put the yep.
I'm gonna put up the offer slide again for those that are interested.
Yep. Thank you for that. All right. Just before we wrap up, let's take one last question there. It's really about COVID, and you probably touched on that during the Q&A, Sharon. It says COVID-19 has accelerated innovation, which is leading to the talk around robots taking over our jobs, and we must all reskill and learn to coexist with technology. To what extent is this true, and what should we as work practitioners do to prepare?
Yeah, I think we touched on it when Amin and I were having the chat about robotics taking over.
Yeah.
You know, I think I quoted some numbers of you know, just uh, over the last 20 years, unemployment or employment, maybe flip it over, employment, people employed has stayed relatively stable, even with the changes taking place in technology. So whilst there will be a continual change, the next 20 years, the world will look different than it does today. I think the onus is on organizations certainly to understand what it means within their industry, you know, what is projected, and you know which roles will perhaps no longer be required, and which roles can evolve into perhaps you know, people doing other tasks within the same organization. You know, the whole notion of reskilling, there's a lot going on. You know, I talked about online courses that can be taken, you know, LinkedIn Learning. You know, 10 years ago, we wouldn't imagine that you could take courses online to this degree, but that's possible. You can actually reskill and fine tune some skills that you have just by, you know, LinkedIn Learning or Coursera or Open Sesame, edX. Those are some of the good ones that are out there. So there's a lot that can be done, and I think it's just a matter of understanding what it means for each and every industry, what that evolution is going to look like ultimately.
Yeah, thank you very much for the answer there, Sharon.
There's one more.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead,
So there's one more question. I think looks like a pressing question that's been asked twice by two individuals. Let me just address that. That's related to Monday. One is that's about how do I essentially, if the resumes are coming in, how do I essentially filter those resumes? Because you know you're collecting name and email and stuff, and you're collecting resumes. Is there some kind of a way to kind of read through the resumes to be able to pick out on some of the skill sets? So Monday has a feature called proofing, which allows you to actually open the resume and actually mark areas that you want managers to focus on, things like that, right on the resume. On that PDF file for sure. But the other component of the question was around, okay, how do I essentially filter, saying, okay, if I'm looking for, let's say, Java developer, and if I'm looking for years of experience, which is 5 and whatnot, how do I filter? So for that, what we do is we ask you to put some standard questions in place, not too many, but a few that allow you to do the filtration. And then we also put in target, which are hidden columns. So what you would do is that, let's say for a particular role, the target years of experience is 5 years. You would ask the candidate, if it's, what their experience level is, and let's say they do 3, it automatically bumps the resume off to disqualified based on the logic that we have built for our other clients. So it's definitely a great feature to be able to have the system again automatically flush out candidates and only have the top talent identified using some of the automation features, so that your teams are only focused on candidates that are meeting those minimum qualifications, if you will. So I just wanted to kind of catch that, but we'll be more than happy to reach out to those that have asked some of those pertinent questions and then continue the conversation. Farouk, back to you to close us off, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, I'd like to draw the attention of our attendees to the QR code. All you have to do is just with your device cameras, you can just scan this QR code and it will redirect you to the package page there. And as we approach the end of the webinar, I would like to thank Sharon Ramallo for her time and knowledge shared with us today, which has been truly amazing throughout the process of bringing this webinar together. Thank you very much, for Sharon. Also, thanks to Monday.com for the great partnership with Execute Strategy, and to Kat Heisler for being such an incredible channel manager for this partnership. Thanks to Execute Strategy's managing partner, Amin Panjwani, for hosting this interview, and for the team at Execute Strategy for all the effort. Last but not least, thanks to every attendee for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And before we adjourn, this is just a quick reminder to join Execute Strategies Monday.com user group on LinkedIn. Also, we look forward to receiving your responses to the survey. By the way, the webinar recording will be shared with you a few days after. Thanks, everyone, and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.